Alright, hello and welcome to another Why Would You Use. So today we're going to be talking about the Pyrana. So the Pyrana has recently had a bit of a boost in its popularity since its buff. About a month ago it was posted on the Reddit that this weapon now has the theoretical highest DPS of any weapon in the game. And yes, that remains true, but I think a lot of people are maybe overestimating what that actually ends up meaning, even though the person who posted it, which I believe was Falterfire, did a very good job of expressing that does not mean that this weapon is the best in the game, and I figured that I would show that he's definitely right. That is not the case. It is not the best weapon in the game. It is, however, quite good. So, the build that he gave out is this one right here. And this is a solid build. It does exactly what he says. It is the highest theoretical DPS of any weapon in the game. This is true. However, you will find, I think, that this build, in general, on the enemies that matter, is significantly more effective. So we're going to show this build that he gave out, which I feel like a lot of people have kind of piggybacked on and just are considering it to be like this insane build that's nutso. Even though it isn't really that insane in like the grand scheme of things. So we have a level 150 Corrupted Heavy Gunner here to show the kind of DPS you're getting. And this is fine. It also knocks down because there is that blast in there. And I'm going to try and get as many headshots as I possibly can, as this is a critical weapon. And headshots do more damage just in general anyway. And you can see the kind of damage we're getting here. It's like fine. But in general, in Warframe, you have to go for a little bit more than just the raw damage number. A little bit more is required of a weapon than this. Even though, as you can see, this is not like the worst ever. There are plenty of weapons that do far worse than this at trying to kill this enemy. But using this build on enemies that matter that are armored is not really what you want to do. For comparison, the anti-armor build, which has 50% status and focuses on corrosive, will do significantly better. For obvious reasons, because this is a build focused on fighting the most important defense in the game, which is armor. And also, as a bonus, you will get more slash procs with this, which also bypass armor, and help you do more damage. With this, you'll notice that your damage is going to be significantly higher, especially after a few corrosive procs. Taking significantly less time to kill that enemy. So I just wanted to show that right off the top, as I knew if I didn't, people would say, well, why aren't you using this build? And that is the reason. This still works perfectly fine, and against any enemy you're going to realistically see, this will blow them away. As just raw damage can be very, very useful in a lot of cases. But if you're fighting high-level armor, say you're in like Sortie 3 and it's enhanced armor or something like that, this is going to outperform it by a decent margin. So with that, let's show our normal test. And surprising absolutely no one, this is going to blow the test out of the water. The unfortunate thing about the Pyrana, though, I will say, is that its MR is quite high, and the amount of like forma and work you have to put into this weapon is pretty massive. Like, this weapon, as compared to the Euphona Prime, for example, takes twice as much forma to get to its maxed out build, and also, this weapon has about the same MR lock. And the Euphona Prime has, like, multiple builds that it can use that have different purposes, like a 100% status build, of course, that lets that absolutely rip through armor. And the Euphona Prime has the ranged build for its very high damage at much longer distances. Oops. This weapon up close, however, as you can see, does very well. Things don't live through this at like the majority of levels you're going to run into. And you don't even really need to use full auto on most things. So up through and into all the sorties, you're going to be doing just fine using this, and you're not really going to have any problems. it's just at that, like, upper level where using, like, the most optimal build matters, where this build will slightly trek ahead. So with that, it is worth noting that there are a couple of variations on this build that are kind of to taste, and most of that is replacing Jolt with a variety of mods that are more appropriate for certain situations. So in some cases, like throwing Maim in there, which Maim will actually give you more damage than an elemental on this weapon, by a small margin, but a margin nonetheless. So if you want a bit more just raw damage, you can go for that. Using a mod that increases your fire speed, oh, whoops. Wrong term. There we go. Like Anemic Agility, or with Gunslinger, though I would always do Gunslinger. Using that so you can dump your damage faster is in some cases better. And then, of course, like on the other build, if you're going to use Ice Storm, utilizing Ice Storm to give you that extra magazine capacity is going to be very, very nice in a lot of situations, especially situations where the raw damage on this weapon is going to be overkill, and then you're going to have basically 4 more enemies to kill in the magazine. So, that is the Pyrana. It is quite good, but maybe not quite the precious gem and treasure that it has been purported to be since that post, even though that post was very good about exemplifying that it is not necessarily the greatest weapon to ever grace Warframe. But yeah, it is very, very nice. I really hope that it gets PBR soon, because as it stands right now, you can definitely tell that this weapon looks on the older side, as it doesn't have the PBR yet, basically. It does, however, have one of the nicest reloads in the game. It's just... it feels real good to do. It's got a nice sound to it and everything. But yeah, that's Pyrana. I will see you guys tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed this. Bye.